DocTalk is brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, sure trace mineral supplementation by timed injection.
Hi there, folks, and welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. We have a great show today. Dr. Bob Larson is going to be joining me. We're going to talk about taking care of that neonatal calf when it's born. Something that's calving season's right around the corner, and it's going to be a great show, so I hope you stay tuned.
Jason Lewis. I work here on Division Ranch, north of Strong City, Kansas. We run 500 head of mama cows. We started using Multimin about a year ago. We didn't have any problem with health that year. Didn't have to doctor near as many in that pasture. Just the overall appearance was a lot better. And I liked it so well, we'll start using it on everything.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value. This segment is brought to you by Norbrook Laboratories, manufacturers of Normycin LA, Normectin Plus, 1%, and Poron, the practical choice for your herd. Bob, welcome to DocTalk.
It's good to be here, Dr. Dan.
Well, it's always good to have you here. To introduce you folks to Dr. Larson, Dr. Larson is the Jones Chair of Production Medicine here at Kansas State University, and he is you're a full professor.
Yep.
And you are in the clinical sciences. What are some of the things that you enjoy doing?
Well, I get the opportunity to teach veterinary students, and I enjoy that a lot. We also do a lot of research work with cattle, looking at ways to improve health and profitability of beef cattle production.
Well, always good to have you on the show. Always good to have topics with you, and this is one that you're pretty familiar with, and that's taking care of these baby calves when they hit the ground.
That's right. I think cattlemen know that the first 2 to 3 weeks of life is really critical for our calf's health. We know that the greatest risk of death for a calf is during those first 2 to 3 weeks of life. So This is a time frame when we should really concentrate on the calves, the environment they're in, and doing all we can to make sure that they get off to a good, healthy start.
Yep, couldn't agree as we were talking about this, the first thing we're going to talk about is when that calf's born.
Yeah.
And all the things surrounding that ordeal and preventing dystocia.
Yeah, the first couple of hours are critical, and they're critical for a couple of reasons. One is dystocia is it's the veterinary word for calving difficulties. So a difficult birth takes the cow a long time to have this calf. He can have a number of problems with that. One is just he's exhausted. The dam is exhausted. The cow is exhausted. Also, it can be a long enough process that his tongue is swollen, it has difficult suckling, all those kinds of things. And just if it takes long enough, or if the calving is difficult enough, it can actually kill him in just the calving process. So dystocia can end up in death itself, or the other problem is even if they live, they're not likely to get up and suckle very soon. Colostrum, getting that early milk into the calf, is critical, and the way that I am most certain to get that colostrum into the calf is if the calf is born easily, turns around, jumps up, his mom's already standing, and he starts suckling. If that happens, he's likely to drink all the colostrum that he needs.
Right.
If either he or the cow is laying on the ground for a prolonged period of time because of calving difficulty, we're not going to get up and start suckling when I want them to.
So then we probably need to intervene with some colostrum or something of that.
Yep, help him along.
Dystocia fatigue.
That's right. It can't be good.
No. And so when we're sitting there looking at the fatigue and the fatigue calf, when you use colostrum, do you use a bag feeder?
I prefer to use frozen or fresh cow colostrum.
Right.
That's not always easy to get. So
right.
If I can, I will use colostrum right from the cow. If I can't get that, like milk out that calf's mother,
yep.
or another cow in the herd, I will use a powdered colostrum or something like that if I need to.
Perfect. Thanks for being here today. And thank you for joining us. When we come back from the break, more with Dr. Larson on taking care of that baby calf. You're watching DocTalk, and we're sure glad you joined us. Dr. Dan here. Whether I'm driving up and down the roads covering the state of Kansas, or I'm getting between Riley and Manhattan for my job, I'm driving a Ford truck. I'd like you to come out and visit my friends here at Dick Edwards Ford. They have a truck that'll suit your needs, whether you're looking for power with a Power Stroke diesel, or if you're looking for fuel efficiency with the new EcoBoost engine, they got a truck that's just right for you. They're located 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I'll see you down the road.
Beef producers need a practical choice when antibiotic therapy is required. More than ever, they are reaching for non-prescription Noromycin 300LA from Norbrook, specially formulated to produce sustained antibiotic blood levels up to 4 days in cattle. Noromycin 300LA delivers economic, broad-spectrum disease management for pneumonia, shipping fever, pink eye, wound infections, and foot rot. See for yourself why Norbrook's Noromycin 300LA is the practical choice for your herd.
Here in Dallas, we're proud that our vehicles use an advanced biofuel called biodiesel. It's made from renewable resources like soybean oil, canola oil, even recycled cooking oil. This year, biodiesel will displace almost 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. Our air is cleaner, our economy is stronger, and America's more energy independent. It's working here, it can work in your community. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Got cattle? Rotomix manufactures a complete line of energy-efficient rotary and vertical feed mixers for feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Our mixers are available with the patented Generation 2 staggered rotor, the industry standard for feeding wet rations that include wet distiller's grain. Made in the USA, Rotomix mixers are designed for feeding performance that American cattlemen and dairy producers have come to expect. Rotomix, proud to offer a better mix in less time using less fuel.
This segment is brought to you by Rotomix, manufactured in the USA and designed for feeding performance in the feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Hi there and welcome back to DocTalk. I'm joined by Dr. Bob Larson, and Dr. Larson is Jones Chair here in Production Medicine at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. We're talking about taking care of the neonatal or newly born calf. We talked about dystocia and calving difficulties in colostrum, and the next thing is keeping them warm.
Yeah, as when we calve in the wintertime or spring, one of the real concerns is just getting too cold and not getting off to a good start. Obviously, they're born wet,
right?
And so they need to dry off and get their body temperature up pretty early. One of the things that I worry about is particularly in calves that are born in a real cold spell or a snowstorm or something like that. I think it's wise to carry a thermometer around, and they need to get their body temperature up above 100 degrees real quickly. Any calf that is on the ground and not able to really respond like I want him to, take a body temperature, and if it's below 100 degrees, we're going to intervene. Intervene, maybe bring him into the cab of the pickup truck and warm him up, maybe take him to the house or a barn and warm him up, but I'm going to get that calf warmed up as soon as possible. Oftentimes you think about snowstorms, cold weather, that kind of thing causing low body temperatures. The other one that can do it is a little bit later in the spring when we get some cool spring rains. Yeah. If he gets wet and stays wet, again, related to the dystocia, if he doesn't get up and get a belly full of warm milk, those can start to be a real series of problems that are going to cause his body temperature to drop. So my rule of thumb is really that they need to get that body temperature up. During cold snaps, it's a good idea for the cowboy and the rancher to have a thermometer and just check those calves and be ready to get them warmed up if they need it.
Great ideas, and you put them in the cab of the pickup, make sure the cow doesn't
follow you in there.
And the other thing is that, we want to make sure that we tell people on a public health note, if you take those calves indoors into your kitchen or into your bathtub, that we can be bringing E. coli or salmonella into the house, and Exactly. If you have young kids or elderly people living there, be really careful.
Yeah. Remember that a few of the organisms that cause diarrhea in calves can also cause diarrhea in humans, so yeah, we want to keep those separate from food and water and wash our hands and all of those types of activities.
Well, speaking of sanitation and segregation.
Yeah.
Kind of segues right into our next topic on these calves. And so when you mean sanitation and segregation to prevent neonatal calf illness, what are we talking about here?
Well, again, we talked about dystocia, actually difficult birth as a big risk of dying. Mm-hmm. If they survive that, the next biggest risk that we are concerned about in that first 2 to 3 weeks of life is diarrhea.
Right.
Scours or diarrhea. And the way we really try to prevent that is try to have that calf in as clean an environment as possible. So I know we're talking about cattle that live outdoors.
Right.
So we're not talking about hospital room clean, but as clean as possible. And so anything with a grass cover, turf cover, even when the grass is dormant, that is what I'm really looking for. Get them out of the mud, get them up where they can really spread out and be as clean as possible. By age segregation, a young calf's worst enemy is a slightly older calf. So that calf that's in the first 1 to 2 weeks of life, the calf that's most likely to make him sick is the one that's 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of age. So I like to segregate pastures with just a couple of weeks worth of age group in each pasture so that they don't have older calves around them.
Perfect. When we come back from the break, more with Dr. Bob Larson on taking care of baby calves.
This tip brought to you by Baytril 100 Enrofloxacin Injectable, now approved for use in controlling BRD in high-risk cattle. Baytril 100, right the first time, whether it's controlling BRD in high-risk cattle or treating BRD.
Hi folks, it's Dr. Dan from DocTalk. Thanks for joining me for today's On the Farm tip. We're going to talk about extra labeled drug usage. Labeled drug usage is when I pick up the bottle, there's a label on it. And when I look at the label, it's going to tell me how much to give, how often, and the route of administration. Route of administration might be sub-Q, IM, or intravenous. Now, anytime you change the route of administration, or if you change the dosage, or you change the time in which you give those drugs, that's called extra label drug usage. We can't do that without the written consent of a veterinarian. So we need to follow label directions. If we don't follow label directions, we can wind up with antibiotic residues in the meat. And so when we do an extra label drug usage, we need the veterinarian involved. Thanks for watching today's On the Farm tip. I'm Dr. Dan, and I'll see you down the road.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news. Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
Join the team, the Beef Quality Assurance Team. Getting BQA certified shows you're committed to practices that produce the highest quality beef in the world. And by visiting BQA.org, you can take the online certification course at a time that fits your schedule and from the comfort of your home or office. You'll also find lots of helpful tips on improving animal health and animal handling practices. Get certified, BQA certified, because it's about doing the right thing. Visit BQA.org today and become a member of the BQA team.
I'm Dennis Tebow. My wife and I, Kathy, are the owners of Wolf Creek Cattle Company. We have grown to approximately 70 bulls.
I'm Reese Arnold. I'm the livestock manager at Wolf Creek Cattle Company. These are not just like normal cattle. These cattle, they're hauled anywhere from, 8 to 10 hours a day across the United States and asked to perform. The Multi-Man 90 keeps them kind of level. It maintains and balances their system. The stress level is less when, when everything's right and working right, then they're working right.
This segment was brought to you by Brute Cattle Equipment, makers of the Brute Stealth Hydraulic Chute. If the chute fits, swear by it. Visit our website for more information.
Hey there, and welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine. My guest, who is the Coleman Chair.
Yeah, we got that right.
Yeah, here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine in the Department of Clinical Sciences, Dr. Bob Larson. And we were talking about, as we left the break, sanitation and segregation, which are very, very important to preventing calf scours. And, let's elaborate a little bit more on different methods or different processes that ranchers and farmers employ. Well,
one of the strategies that people have probably heard about, if they've been reading some of the magazines the last few years, is what's called the Sandhills method of calving. And this was really developed by a group of scientists up at the University of Nebraska. I got to give those guys credit. They came up with a pretty simple plan of trying to really improve the sanitation the calves are born in, as well as keeping them away from older calves. And the strategy is basically to have the first 2 weeks of calving in one pasture.
Right.
And then any cow that has not calved in those first 2 weeks, she goes into a new pasture. So that as those calves are born, they basically kind of start the calving season over again in that pasture, and they're not around those older calves. And then if you can, the ideal is to move them every week. Move the ones that haven't calved So in each pasture, you've got just 1 week age spread in each pasture. That's the ideal, and I really like it when you can pull that off. I understand that takes a lot of pastures, and that may not be practical. I get that, again, this isn't exactly what the Nebraska data says, but I would say that if you can move at least every 2 weeks, so that within a group there's only 2 weeks of age spread from the youngest to the oldest, that does a lot to help us prevent diarrhea and scours in these young calves, just that they're not exposed to those older calves. Also, by moving occasionally, moving those pastures, we're constantly moving new young calves, or they're going to be born, onto fairly uncontaminated pastures.
Right.
There haven't been other cows on there. So if you can do that, you really optimize both the cleanliness of the area where they're calving, and they're not around those older calves that can shed more germs and cause
You kind of
illness.
have both the sanitation and the segregation deal going on.
Really fixed in the same strategy.
And if you have 2 pastures, then do it in 30 days. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have 2, at least you're separating it at a point and maximizing the opportunity.
Yeah.
And not everybody can get it done, but
That's exactly right. If you're down to two pastures, then as soon as half the calves are born, start the next half on a new clean pasture. And so we always move the heavies. We move the ones that are late in pregnancy away, and so that that group can start calving in a brand new pasture as frequently as we can.
Right.
Every week if possible, whatever else we can accomplish so that they start on new clean pastures.
well, and it just makes good sense. Typically we used to do it the other way around. We would kick the cow. We'd have our calving area, and we'd kick the cows with their calves out into the pasture and leave them in the same environment.
Right, and so this is a better strategy compared to that. And then the other question is, well, how long do they have to stay apart? Well, by the time those calves are about 6 weeks of age, they're a lot tougher than they were during those first 3 weeks. So once they get to be about 6 weeks of age or so, I can put the whole group back together, and you start putting cows back together again as they go to summer grazing.
Excellent. When we come back, more with Dr. Bob Larson on taking care of baby calves.
This segment is brought to you by Lalaman Animal Nutrition, dedicated to the development and production of natural and differential solutions for animal nutrition. And by the Graham School for Cattlemen, with over 100 years of continuous service to the cattle industry. To find out more, visit us online at grahamschool.com.
Welcome to Ag AM in Kansas. I'm Devin Stewart. A simple pregnancy check can offer some valuable information to cow-calf producers. K-State veterinarian Dr. Brad White says that information can help producers make important herd reproductive decisions.
I think the preg check is one of the more valuable tools that we use on the cow-calf farm, and to get value from it, it's not just finding the open cows, it's about finding when the cows got pregnant so we can make our best production reproductive decisions. The reproductive profile has 3 major parts, so it's putting the components together. The length of the calving season, the distribution or when those cows calve during the calving season, and of course the pregnancy rate, which is what we talk about a lot of time.
With Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Devin Stewart.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
Cow-calf, stocker, and feedlot producers know that effective parasite control improves overall herd performance and profitability. Norbrook offers a comprehensive, economical line of pour-on and injectable parasiticides for every livestock operation. Consult with your local animal health supplier to set up a program that protects your investment and brings larger cattle checks this fall. See for yourself why the Noromectin line from Norbrook is the practical choice for your herd. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value. Welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with my friend and colleague, Dr. Bob Larson, who is the Coleman Chair of Production Medicine here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. And we've had a great discussion today about taking care of those baby calves when they hit the ground And now we're going to kind of wrap up today's show by talking about healthy cows.
Yeah. I think one of the ways to think about it, and it's not a surprise to anybody, but good healthy calves have healthy mothers.
Right.
And so by healthy mothers, what I mean is the herd as a whole has a good vaccination program. They have a feeding plan and a forage utilization plan where those cows stay in good body condition. They're not too thin, they're not too fat. They're dewormed when they should be to make sure that they're not carrying a heavy parasite load. And so I expect the best luck, and luck is usually what you make of it, but the best luck as far as calf health is when the cows are a good, healthy herd. All of the things that we talk about, nutrition, vaccination, sanitation, on those cows are top notch, and then we're much more likely to have a good success with those calves as they're born. Working with your veterinarian is just critical, and your nutritionist, to making sure you have optimum health, optimum nutrition. And part of the key of that is that you're thinking about these things weeks and months ahead of the big stress times. As I said, the time frame when calves are at most risk of dying is those first 1 to 3 weeks of age. So we don't want to start thinking about that when we're 1 week away from calving. Right. We want to think about that when we're weeks and months ahead, so we can really put things in place. We can get our calving pastures set up. We can do any scraping of dry lots that we need to prepare them. We can have our cows in good body condition heading into calving. The vaccinations are done. So prior planning prevents problems as we move into calving. Yeah, and it's so critical and it takes you 5 minutes walking on somebody's farm to tell who's planned and who hadn't. Yes, that's almost always true. And we'd like to have be able to check boxes and do audits and assessments, but whether you walk into a school, a business, a farm, whatever, when one's being run right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's a lot of opportunities to get better. If you're really good at what you're doing, there's opportunities to get a little better. If you're struggling with some of the things we talked about, calf health, death loss in calves being higher than we want, cows that aren't in this body condition we want, there's things we can do, and you can go get help. And that help, I like to use that local veterinarian. He and she is very knowledgeable about the things you want to do, extension, nutritionists. There's a lot of people that you can go to get the information you need to really improve the operation no matter where you are right now. Well, great information today. Thank you very much for joining me. It's always good to be here. Yeah, it's always great to have you. If you want to know more about what Dr. Larson and I do here at the College of Veterinary Medicine, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. Remember, always work with the local veterinarian. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. You've been watching DocTalk. We're sure glad you joined us, and I'll see you down the road.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, Sure Trace Mineral Supplementation by Timed Injection.
I'm Guy Collier from Collier, Hereford and Angus at Bruno, Idaho. We're calving approximately 500 head of registered Hereford, Angus, and have a fairly large recipient herd where we're doing quite a few embryo transplants as well. We've raised Hereford cattle all of our lives. Started out as a commercial program. Mainly started in the purebred business in '72 in a big way. I've served on the board of directors for the American Hereford Association. We show cattle on a national level at Reno, Denver, and Fort Worth. Been fortunate enough to produce several championships at those different shows, and we started using Multimin 3 or 4 years ago. Multimin is one of those products you can use to get the ultimate performance out of cattle. Around 90 to 95% of our calves are either AI or embryo transplant. Since we've started using the Multimin, we're up around 70 to 75% conception on our first AI service. Anytime that you're able to supply a product like this that can boost the immunity system, get a better response from your vaccines, it kind of fits into a total program. Multimin is one of those products that you know that you can use and you know that it'll be cost effective, and a product like this is very beneficial for us.